do it. Good evening, everyone. I'm Coast TV News anchor Madeleine Overturf, joining you live to speak about the special election results for District 20. This is the seat in the Milton and Lewis, Harbison, Georgetown area that has been vacant since June 24th when Stell Parker Selby resigned. This just in, we can tell you that Democrat Alonna Berry has won this special election by the thinnest of margins, beating Nikki Miller, the Republican, by 121 votes. You might remember in 2024 that Parker Selby beat Miller by 245 votes. So a much smaller margin here, even though it's quite tight. I'm going to read you exactly the results. These have just come in from the Department of Elections. It's important to note these are the unofficial results. What that means is they have to be certified by a court 2 days later, but this is the tabulation of all of the results so far. So it says Alonna Berry received 4,653 votes in this election, and Nikki Miller received 4,532 votes in this special election, meaning there were just over 9,193 votes in this special election. It's important to note, too, that in the 2024 election, 18,000 people voted in this seat. So it's about half of how many people voted last year in the general election. So it's about 50% of that voted in this election. However, we did hear today from the Department of Elections that this was breaking records for a special election. Actually, in 2017, there was a special election in Middletown to fill the seat vacated by Bethany Hall Long, who was then lieutenant governor, and Stephanie Hansen won that seat, and that election in 2017 had a 34% turnout for the district. By 6:45 tonight, we already had about 40% voter turnout in District 20. We'll have to do the math exactly and determine with the Department of Elections the exact voter turnout for the district. I'm seeing 9,257 total in this race, and there's about 23,000 registered voters in the district, but we'll confirm that exact number for you later. But let's get back to it. Alonna Berry is the winner. If you're just joining us, the Democratic candidate for this race, Alonna Berry, has won, beating Dr. Nikki Miller, the Republican opponent who had ran for the seat in 2024 and lost. Both women live in Milton, and both have a big history on education. Let's tell you a little bit more about Alonna Berry herself. We're going to put some graphics up on the screen that you I just told you about Alonna Berry, a lot of her career is in that. Again, founding this charter school, working in AmeriCorps. She's on the Delaware Community Foundation Board. I'm going to tell you a couple more things about Alonna Berry we've learned from her website, some campaign issues. Criminal justice reform, which, as I just mentioned, is a big deal for her history and sort of her professional background. So she also wants to work on affordable housing and accessible health care. And one thing I did notice when I was doing my research tonight ahead of bringing these results is the funding of schools, sidewalk expansions, smart growth, infrastructure that DelDOT would have to be a part of these conversations with developments, and also building affordable housing that would have small town character. Those were both campaign issues for Berry and Miller. They actually were quite similar in a lot of their campaign issues, and it's maybe one of the reasons why we are seeing such a close turnout here in between these votes. Again, if you're joining us a little bit late, the unofficial results of the special election for District 20, Democrat Alonna Berry receiving 4,653 votes, and Republican Nikki Miller receiving 4,532 votes. It does say here there were 8 write-in votes that did not go to either of those women, so 8 people voted for someone else. And total, it says here there were 9,257 votes. Now, there are a couple discrepancies on here about overvotes and undervotes. An overvote occurs when a voter makes more than the maximum number of choices allowed in an election. That only happens on an absentee ballot. It does not happen if you're in a polling place. An undervote is when they basically make no choice in a single choice election, so they send in a blank ballot. So that's some of those undervotes and undervotes here that are on here, but even with those undervotes and overvotes, that would not be within the margin of error to change the winner or the loser here, because there were 61 undervotes, 3 overvotes, and again, it's 121 votes in between Alonna Berry receiving just over 4,600 votes and Nikki Miller receiving just over 4,532 votes. Again, if you're just joining us, Alonna Berry, she will take this seat that was vacated by Stell Parker Selby. This seat was held by Parker Selby, who was a Democrat, Democratic seat since 2022. Before that, it had been held by Steve Smick, a Republican, and it had been a Republican seat for quite a while. So I actually saw in some of the campaigning done by other politicians, they referred to District 20 as the purplest of purple districts, meaning it really is split down the line here. And you can see that in the results. In 2024, it was 275 votes between Stell Parker Selby and Nikki Miller. Tonight, it is 121 votes between Alonna Berry and Nikki Miller. So Alonna Berry, she will be filling the remainder of this term of the seat vacated by Stell Parker Selby. As this is a special election, this seat only goes until Election Day 2026. Something to note on that is 2026, there already are 2 Democrats who have filed to run. Alonna Berry, who has won tonight, and Ruby Schaefer. So it does appear there would be a primary, at least in the works, for the Democratic Party before the 2026 general election in November. Nikki Miller has already filed to run for 2026 as well. Both Berry and Miller did this far before the special election today. So we could be seeing a rematch in November of next year. Again, it will determine if there are other candidates and if there is a primary. It appears there will be a Democratic primary, at least between 2 candidates. But again, a primary situation there. And then ultimately the general election could come down to Berry, who at that point will have held the seat since this week, whenever she is sworn in, and Miller, who already has announced her plans to run again in 2026. One thing to note too is Alonna Berry might have the opportunity to get to work quite quicker than expected. On Tuesday, a week from today, there is a special session of the Delaware legislature to address property reassessments and taxes, primarily over concerns in Newcastle County, but all the legislature must go to that. So if she is sworn in immediately, she would be there, right? So it's possible she could be in Dover quicker than session resuming, which is not until January of next year. Again, if you're just joining us here, we're going to wrap it up, but just to bring it to you here, we'll have much more tonight at 11 interviews with Berry. We'll tell you right now, Alonna Berry is the next representative for District 20 for the Lewis, Milton, Harbison, Georgetown areas. Berry winning by 121 votes. The seat will stay a Democratic seat here in the 20th District. Berry beating Miller by just 121 votes. So Alonna Berry is the newest state representative for the state of Delaware. We're going to wrap up this live stream now. We have a full article about this election right now on our website, coasttv.com, and we'll bring you much more tonight.